Super. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all so much for taking time to join our webinar. My name is Drew Stinnett. I'm a content marketing manager here at Right Side Up. We're so glad you're joining us today for this webinar on how to lean into average order value to transform your business. If you aren't familiar with Right Side Up, we are a marketplace of growth marketing specialists who have helped more than 400 VC-backed tech companies hit their goals. We cover virtually all paid channels, SEO, CRO, email marketing, analytics, and much more. Today's webinar hits on an increasingly relevant topic: how AOV can be an absolute game changer for e-commerce businesses. That's why I'm pleased to introduce to you Lissa Regitz, a senior growth marketing strategist here at Right Side Up. Lissa is a seasoned expert with over a decade of marketing and business strategy experience. She's helped scale businesses across a wide variety of industries and brings a deep level of expertise in the space. In this presentation, Lissa will detail the fundamentals of average order value and why it matters. And by the end of our time together, you'll walk away with 8 actionable steps to increase AOV for your business. Before I turn it over to Lissa, I just have a couple of housekeeping items to mention. First, we love questions. Please feel free to submit any questions throughout this session using Zoom's Q&A functionality at the bottom of your screen. We'll plan to address as many questions as we can in the last 20 minutes of our time together. We are recording this webinar. You'll receive an email in the next few days with both the recording and slide deck for your reference later on. You'll also receive a survey in that same email, and we would really appreciate your feedback so we can continue making high quality, relevant webinars that are on topics you're interested in. That's it for me. So Lissa, I am passing the mic to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Drew. And hi, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm so excited to be here, and hopefully you get some really great tidbits of information you can apply to your business today. As we all know, the last couple of years have brought some brand new challenges: global pandemic, exponential growth in e-commerce, data privacy changes, rising CACs, challenging supply changes, and changes in how we run our day-to-day business. We are still on the hook to drive revenue and drive growth and lower our CACs. Our investors aren't going anywhere, and there's still some significant pressure that we are facing on day to day. So I hope that I can ease some of that pressure today by helping you understand one core metric a little bit deeper. And this is one metric that's not going anywhere. It's not changing, but you have it as a tool in your tool belt. And it is a sleeping giant, one most overlooked by a ton of business leaders and marketers. And it can be a game changer for your business. So having a plan to improve it should be on your list of critical initiatives this year. As Drew mentioned, I'm Lissa. I'm a senior strategist on the project strategy team here at Right Side Up. I've worked with more than 70 brands over the last 12 years across a variety of different industries, but I've probably spent the last about 4 to 5 years really focusing in on e-commerce and D2C startups. So I'm taking a lot of my experience that I've seen over several businesses to help bring this to you today. And so let's just go ahead and dive into it. So what we're going to talk about today is what is AOV and why it matters to your business, how increasing AOV can be a game changer, and I'll give you 8 actionable steps and ways you can take today to start putting a plan in place to increase your AOV. So let's get started. What is AOV? AOV is average order value. In other words, it is the average dollar amount that's in your customer's cart. We use this as an aggregate term. So when you think about how it's calculated, AOV is calculated by taking your total revenue over your total orders. So for example, let's say that you're driving $100,000 in revenue on a consistent basis. You're driving that revenue with about 1,000 orders per month. Your AOV for that month is $100. So why does AOV matter? Higher AOV leads to higher revenue. Simply put, when you increase your AOV by just $10, so let's say you start with an average order value of $50 and you increase that average order value to $60, you have the same 1,000 orders per month. You're generating an incremental $10,000 more in revenue. Higher AOVs lead to higher ROAS. This is something that we all know is very important to us, right? AOV is a critical component of acquisition strategy, and it is one part of the equation. If we think about CACs and how important CACs are to driving new customers in, and how much money we have to reinvest into our acquisition plans, that is only one side of the equation. Conversion value is the other side to that ROAS equation. And what drives conversion value? AOV. How much money people are spending in every order that they're taking with you, right? So if you were to consider maybe one big shift in your thinking, this could really be a game changer for you, is that instead of focusing so much of your energy on how to create a more efficient CAC, what if you spent that same energy building a plan around how to increase conversion value? That same dollar amount that you're investing into your acquisition plans would immediately become more profitable, right? So how does that look? Let's just take a very simple approach to ROAS here, revenue divided by cost. You're increasing your AOV again from $50 to $60. You're spending $20,000 in your ad campaigns. You're generating $50,000 with that AOV of 50. You have a 2.5x ROAS on your ad campaign. You're spending the same amount of money, 20K, to generate 60K when you've increased your AOV $10 from 50 to 60. With that simple change there, you're generating 3x ROAS. So as you continue to focus in on a core metric of your business, AOV, it can actually help your ad campaigns become more profitable. So spend a little bit of time focusing on how to increase conversion value to help alleviate some of the pressure off of your acquisition teams, because it is critical to understanding how all of this works and plays together. And CAC is not the only thing. Higher AOVs also lead to higher LTRs, or lifetime revenue. If you think about what lifetime revenue and lifetime revenue is the gross metrics. You're not taking in consideration margin here, but just for simplistic reasons, we're going to take the same kind of approach here. So if you have your AOV today at $50 and you're able to increase it to $60, let's say Sally comes and buys t-shirts from you 5 times a year. Okay, she's buying t-shirts, let's say a $50 AOV, she's generating $250 in lifetime revenue for you for this year. You increase that AOV to $60, the same purchase frequency, you're generating an incremental $50 in lifetime revenue for that year. And we start thinking about things like your CAC to LTV ratio, or LTV to CAC ratio, which is something that investors are really keen on asking you about, especially if you're in fundraising discussions or you have fundraised. It's a really important ratio for those of you who are on the phone who are a little bit more advanced, or maybe the founders who are on the phone. And I understand like how much pressure it can be for investors to be asking about the LTV to CAC ratio. Right now, acquisition is tough, right? Privacy concerns have really created a big challenge for Facebook and other platforms. Your acquisition teams are working really hard to try to figure out ways to get more out of their spend, to find ways to create more efficiencies in that CAC. So really helping to understand and expand your knowledge on AOV, its impact on lifetime revenue, and its impact on the capability to increase that LTV side of the LTV to CAC ratio is just going to make it easier for you to have those conversations with those investors and to help alleviate some of that pressure from your acquisition teams. So really looking at it holistically and the health of your business really can matter here in a big way. So let's just take, for example, if you were to assume that your order volume remains stable, you're going to increase your AOV by $30 over the next year. Okay, you could generate an additional $150,000 in top line revenue and increase your profitability by 64%. So here's how it would shake out. Let's say quarter one, your AOV today is $50. You're spending $35 to acquire customers on average. You're 1.4x ROAS, generating 5,000 orders and $250,000 in revenue. You incrementally increase that AOV with all the rest of this staying the same. Your Q2, you're at $60. You have now a 1.7x ROAS, $50,000 more in revenue. Q3, you've increased that another $10. You're now at 2x ROAS, another $50,000, so $100,000 more, and so on and so forth. So you see how now, of course, this is a super simplistic example, and this is not how real day-to-day business works, but it just can show you how the relationship of these different metrics in your business really matter, and how important AOV and how much you're able to impact the value piece of the equation is. So if you've tuned out, time to tune back in, because here are 8 ways that you can increase your AOV. So you can do to actually try to increase that, that really critical metric for your business. First, let's just talk basics. So promos, incentivizing customers to increase their cart size. There are several different ways that we can do that. One may just be adding a top ribbon with a threshold for free shipping on the top of your screen. A lot of companies do this with like red or blue, or you can use a brand color. Whatever your AOV is today, let's say it's typically $50 in the example that I've been using for this presentation. Let's say you set your free shipping at $65. So it's not where most of your customers are going to get the free shipping, but it's close enough that say if they add one more item to cart, they're going to unlock that free shipping threshold. You could also consider doing a promo like get $10 off when you spend more than $100, or get $15 off when you spend more than $125. You can play with percentages on that too, as well as like absolute dollar values. You could say, hey, I'm not going to give you a discount today, but I'll give you a discount in the future. So you save 20% on your next purchase, or 15% on your next purchase. You could also look at, buy 2, save 10%. So a BOGO type related offer. Here with I never say this right, Calphalon, essentially they are a pots and pans company. They've been around for a really long time. They're really known to put a lot of their products together. So instead of buying 1 pot, you're buying 10 for a higher AOV. They're also like very into like buying more, saving more. So you can get 40% off 4 items, 30% off 3 items. So it's a tiered based discounting program. They also have free standard shipping on orders over $150. So they're really taking a lot of these types of strategies and applying them here at the same time. Building a bundle, bundles, sets, packs, these types of value-based pricing are really core to increasing AOV. And it's probably one of the easier but thoughtful ways that you can do it without necessarily going and creating a whole new set of SKUs. So in this example here, Lively has created a maternity bralette trio, where normally it would cost $105, 3 bralettes times 3. They're actually providing that at a near 25% discount to $80. So whereas maybe a customer may have purchased 1, now they're purchasing 3 for $80, the AOV is higher because they're doing this together. They're also showing a mix match and mix again with 2 bras for $60, 3 bras for $80. They're playing around with this idea of value-based positioning, buy more and save. You can also look at this from a merchandise perspective, so completing the look. Here's the top and the bottom. You also could take a look at this from the perspective of ROAS and prospecting, as we talked about a little bit before. If you have a first-time customer coming in, what can you provide to them that could be a nice entry point to sample what products you have? Like maybe you're a skincare brand and you have, here's a starter kit that you should definitely try. It gives you a really good idea of the type of quality of product that we have, the variety, and it also has a nice, best-selling kind of feature to it. It's a higher price. Let's say it's $75 instead of like a single product, $30. You're able to increase that ROAS or profitability opportunity for your prospecting type programs. Other bundles that are, you can see them all over the place. You can also Google and look at, bundles and get some ideas within your category. But camping bundles, get the whole skin regimen, travel kits, colors plus treatments, if you're in nail care, all sorts of different types of ones here. And if you're really stuck and you're not sure what to put into a bundle, export what your sell-through report is and take a look at the products that people are buying together in the same order, and take that cue from your existing customers, talk to your CX team, try to understand what people are already buying and use that as a cue to kind of figure out what bundles make sense. Smart upsells and cross sells. So this is making purchasing easier with thoughtful complementary products. we all like to make shopping easy. We don't like to click around the site a bunch of times. If we make it hard to buy, then people won't do it, right? So offering relevant upsells or cross sells in places that we know that they're spending time. So they're coming in, they're spending time on the PDP pages, the product detail pages where you are featuring one item. Maybe they're coming there from Google Shopping or from Daba or from, somewhere else. They're looking and finding that individual item. Well, what goes well with that item? Is that a t-shirt and the shorts go well with that? Offer that below the picture on the PDP page. Let's say they're in the cart in this example with Baja Cactus. Someone is buying a toner, and the toner is a part of the skincare essentials kit. So this is an example of an upsell opportunity. So they say, hey, get the toner and these other items together, and it's $65 instead of $24. So, that is an example of what an upsell might look like in a cart. Below that, you have that you may also like complete the look, goes well with these types of terminology you've probably seen across sites, because they're trying to suggest things that might also go well with this. Oh, you have this toner. Well, it goes really well in this toiletry bag. That's a nice cross sell, right? You might also want to consider doing lower value cross sells closer to the checkout. So making it easier to just add that on. Here's stickers for another $5. Here's socks for $7.50 versus offering, here's my highest price item at checkout is a little bit tougher to get through. Post-purchase is also another one too that a lot of companies are using, and it is like, oh, you forgot this. If you buy this right now, it is significantly cheaper, so you're heavily discounting that item. You can also upsell and the post-purchase too. So this is more commonly used for like non-physical products, but that happens a lot too. You can create smart reminders to replenish products if a customer is coming back to buy other items. This is done through SMS. There's another tool called Repeat, I believe, who does something like this. Excuse me. And you can create kind of just this really smart way to approach how you promote products, where you promote them and why you promote them. There's a lot of logic that gets built into even the cart type experience or PDP. There are tons and tons of tools out there. If you're on, say, Shopify, there's, as I mentioned, Repeat, there is Bold is one, Rebuy. There's a ton of different types of tools that have the logic kind of built in. So once you install those apps, you can configure it and really pay attention to like, if toners in cart offer skincare essentials kit, if this, then that. So you can play around with it. There's a lot of really fun test and learns that you can do there. And you can also really think about like what people are purchasing. So for instance, when I was working with a company called Ebby, which sells intimates, we really dove deep into what she purchased the first time and what she purchased the second time to infer what we can maybe offer as a cross sell when she comes back, or as an upsell if she's purchasing for the first time. And we found out that when she bought a brief style underwear in the first purchase, she was 2 times more likely to buy another brief in the second purchase. She was style loyal in our case. And so we use that information from our data and our sales data to inform how we would put this together. And so, you look at what people are actually buying from your business and use that to help understand what makes sense here. Another thing to note too is that you want to be really thoughtful about it. You want to recommend products that you would recommend to your friends. So don't just put things there arbitrarily. Make sure it makes sense. Test it a lot. Look at the different combinations. You want to make it very easy. You want to offer things, but you don't want to make it sticky too much where it's going to stop people from moving through and purchasing. So pay attention to all the metrics on that. My rule of thumb is don't offer more than 3 options at a time, whether it's on the PDP, on a post-purchase, in cart, or at checkout. It tends to then just slow down the whole process. People can't make that much decision at the same time. So gamifying super fun. Make it fun and enjoyable to like buy in your site. Make them want to stay there and play with the tools that you're building to make shopping more rewarding for them. You can offer tiered discounts or free gift when you reach different value thresholds. Here's an example from Touchland where as you add more mists, which are like these hand sanitizers that they have, you get closer and closer to earning yourself a free case. They also have a loyalty program. And so if you have a loyalty program through any of the like Swell or Loyalty Lion or Smile or others, you can also build in that piece to this gamification. So you're earning points for reaching new thresholds. I've seen this used also with percentages or dollar off. So let's say your AOV is $50. You offer free shipping at 65, and then at 75, you give 10% off, and at 100, you give 15% off. So you can play around with this as much as you want. This, in all the cases I've seen here, I haven't seen any sort of tech that builds this for you. This is like something that your dev team would have to do. But you can definitely play with other pieces too, like building your own bundle, for instance. That one's pretty fun. Like, here's a box, fill it up with all the fun things that you want. Complete the set, complete the pack here, put things in here, building your own bundles of sorts, like take 2 colors of this nail polish, add a treatment for free. Just play around with it, make it fun to shop. Shopping the look. So we know, this is the digital format with Nordstrom, but all of the gals out there who have grown up reading magazines, we've seen these over and over and over again. It's not a new concept, but we can definitely apply it to the e-commerce landscape. And that is that, what goes well with this? So this t-shirt goes well with these swim trunks, and these sunglasses, and this sunscreen, and these flip-flops. Buy it all. Here's where you can get it. Put it together, curate it in a collection, make it easy for people to see it, make it easy for people to buy the whole thing. Offer an incentive for them if they buy all 5 items instead of 3. Excuse me, get the CX team and product teams involved in this. You'd be surprised at how informative your product and merchandising teams are. A lot of them have spent their careers buying inventory with larger brands that aren't necessarily e-commerce brands. They know kind of like, okay, hey, when this tends to go really well with this. So use their knowledge base, bring them into the conversation. They're not marketers, but they can be really helpful in this instance. Talk to your CX team. They know what people are buying. They know what people like. They know what people don't like. They can also help inform you to help how you might curate some of these collections. On the PDP page, what goes well with that product? If you have, like say these pink sunglasses, what products go well with that item? Offer it there on the PDP. On the homepage, this homepage is a great place to put a lot of really interesting upsells, bestsellers, special collections. You can also be thoughtful too, is it just because one item is your bestseller doesn't mean that should have spot number 1. Maybe spot number 1 is an item that has high AOV. Spot number 2 is the item that sells the most volume. So you can play around with things and see how it really works. And just like CRO use best practices, as we know, position higher on the screen for more eyeballs, make it easier for them to add it to cart, quick ads, make it mobile ready. Like, how can you make this as easy as possible to get people adding these items to cart, increasing your AOV, and getting through checkout? Play with premium pricing. How about we play with some FOMO, some urgency, some limited time positioning, testing some new collections. When I was working with Ebby, we created this premium collection that we called Luxe. And all it was is literally the same exact products. It didn't cost us more to make them, but they had some really interesting hand designed prints on them. And so we thought, well, what if we just order a very small select number of units for this, and we position it as completely separate from our existing business. Now, in this case, Ebby sells underwear as well. So underwear is a commoditized type item. So there's only so much wiggle room that we had on actually being able to increase standard pricing, because people want to pay a certain dollar amount for underwear, and that's just the way in, right? So offering maybe a bralette, which is a more expensive item, offers an increased AOV opportunity. Pairing it with matching panties and making it a real premium selection allowed us to charge more for it, allowed us to create FOMO, allowed us to create more of like a premium appeal to this, and it ended up being successful. And interestingly enough, by offering a more premium line, actually sold more of our existing core line, which was something that we had, we weren't really expecting, but it ended up happening. So you never know in that instance. Another much easier way to do this could be working with an influencer. So let's say like Burton sells snowboards, and Burton does a deal with Shaun White and creates this really cool snowboard that it only has 1,000 units. And once they sell out, they sold out. You can increase the price on that because it's a very limited edition item, limited run item, really cool, very relevant. So you can play around with this. If you think about probably the best example that probably exists out there right now is McDonald's. So McDonald's created this dollar menu as a way to bring people in. Like, oh, get all the people coming in to get these burgers for $1. Well, when you're sitting in line waiting for the dollar burger, you see all of these signs with these really juicy Big Macs and other items. So by the time you get to the front, you're like, I could get the dollar burger, but I could also just get this super size Big Mac with a Coke and giant fries. And it's only a couple of dollars more. They're like, I've positioned a more premium product next to a more entry-level product, but in the end, I end up with a higher AOV. So there's lots of different ways and examples out there in the marketplace to play with in this one. Expanding into new product categories. This one is also like very much a more mature type of thing. So if you're starting out right now and you only have a handful of SKUs, this will come. For a lot of businesses out there that do have the capability to create more product category diversification, this one's definitely on the table for you. And so thinking about how you can give customers more reasons to buy from you. In this example here, this is Dick's. They have several different types of categories, and this is a beach wagon, and they're like, oh, well, if you also buy the outdoor shelter because it gets hot outside and you want some shade, you could buy that. Or if you maybe prefer this greenhouse that also is like quite nice but has more air going through it, you buy all three, it's $349 instead of the $199 for the original beach wagon. So you can play around with that from like kind of combining multiple types of strategies that we talked about today. You can also consider adjacent categories that make sense. So for instance, let's say you're an apparel company, you sell t-shirts, it's your core product, sell a lot of those t-shirts for $30. Let's enter seasonality. Let's also enter opportunity for a higher price item to increase your AOV. And you might offer sweatshirts for $50. I'd say you offer a smaller like skincare product that is 4 ounces. That's nice for travel. Well, maybe you start offering the same item in a bigger package and now it's more expensive. So maybe you offer something else completely. So there's lots of different options here with expanding to different product categories that could create more purchase frequency for bringing existing customers back to buy from you, which is more of a lifetime opportunity, right? But it also can create more interest from new customers coming in who just want a different type of product. So it has a lot of different benefits outside of just increasing your AOV. Personalized recommendations. So this is something that, especially with privacy and all the challenges that we're having with third-party data, we still have a lot of first-party data, right? And so we can use that. We can use our website signals, our email list, our SMS list. We can use surveys. We can use our CX team to understand what people are buying, what they're interested in, what kind of combinations might be a good fit for them, what is their past purchase behavior. Can we, say, hey, it's time to re-up, buy the same thing again, or hey, like we noticed that you always buy like this style of flip-flop. Maybe, here's a new one, buy this one. We noticed that you have all this acne care products. Well, here's our newest version or solution for acne product. Here's a free sample. There's all sorts of different things you can do to like create more personalization across the journey. You can use smart repeat purchase email flows or SMS. There's chat bots if you want to get into that. There's the technology there has come a long way. And you can also think about too, like, how do you nurture that experience with higher price, longer sale items like mattresses or furniture or expensive watches or things like that. And here's another opportunity to get your CX team involved. Your CX team are warriors, and anyone tells you anything different, they're just wrong. Like they get paid a fraction of what we get paid as marketers, but they're so critical to our business. They're the first line of defense and offense when it comes to customers. And if you even just bonus them $100 to and give them that, hey, like help me sell more product, offer this product here that's a higher AOV when a customer has an issue with this product here that's a lower price item. Like get them to spend, instead of just giving the CX team the opportunity to handle returns and exchanges. They have a ton of insight and ideas on your customers as well. So giving them an opportunity to play in this and come up with some really fun solutions, not just on the standard win back, but how to upsell and cross-sell existing customers. You can do so much in this category. So just to say, what is your AOV? Before, you can take all of these ideas that I gave you before, but if you don't understand where you're starting from, then you're not going to know how to get to where you're going next. So the first thing is to dive into your data, understand what your existing AOV is, ask your head of growth. If you're the head of growth, start diving deep into that, understanding even different splits of it. What's your AOV for your high value customers? What's your AOV for your first time customers, for your existing customers coming back? Try to understand AOV by category. There's all sorts of different ways you can split it. Try to pull those insights from your own business to give you an informed decision of where you are today. Because if you can't get a point B unless you know where point A is. So that also leans into then, once you have the data, what kind of AOV increase is realistic for your business? So I gave the examples earlier, like say $50 to $60. That may not be realistic for all businesses. It may be more realistic to go from 50 to 51, 51 to 53, and so on and so forth. So you want to just really be thoughtful about what makes sense for you and set realistic goals with your team that you can hit. Set a testing agenda. It's really, really important. So, there's all these different things that you can do, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. Just because it could be this game changer for your business doesn't mean that you should just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. Take some time, have a conversation and brainstorm with your team, talk about what of these different ways that we talked about today are most relevant to you, what are possible today versus what you'll have to work towards in the future. In some cases, if you hold physical inventory, you have to plan for that. So that may be 2, 3, 4 quarters down the line. So set that time aside to talk about it with your team, choose some experiments, set the priority of those experiments, talk about how long you'll run them, what does success look like, how many people need to go through it to get a sample size, how to measure it, run one test at a time. Most of the companies that we talk to, or at least that I talk to, haven't invested or don't have the capital to invest, or maybe aren't the size. You have to be quite large to really make sense for you to hire a CRO agency who comes with a lot of fancy technologies. You can do a lot of these tests with just Google Analytics and really being more of taking the approach of incrementality testing. So one test at a time, what impact did it make? Going back and shifting. You want to iterate on these, right? So let's just take bundling for an example. Create one bundle. Just because you did one bundle, check the box, it doesn't mean you move on. Try another bundle, try a set, try a pack, play with pricing. So try and iterate on each of these different pieces until you find what works best for you. Some of these will work for your business, some of these won't. So pay attention to that, be realistic about it, pick and choose what you think makes sense, and ultimately aim for incremental gains. AOV is going to be something that is not going anywhere. It's a core metric of your business. It's always going to be around. There are relationships between conversion rate and other pieces like that are also at play. So just pay attention to holistically, how incrementally this is impacting your business, good or bad, make adjustments as needed, but expect that things are just going to go up slightly over time. Sometimes they'll go down, sometimes they'll go up. Okay, so just incremental gains. Be realistic about that. So today we talked about 8 different ways to increase your AOV, whether it's promos, whether it's bundles, sets, and packs, creating upsells across the opportunities, gamifying your shopping experience, using merchandising to help create or craft the complete look for your customers, playing with pricing, whether it's core pricing or premium pricing, expanding to new product categories, and looking at ways to personalize that journey, getting your team involved, CX or product. AOV is a sleeping giant. It plays a huge role in driving revenue, top line, profitability with your ads, as well as just holistically, and lifetime revenue. The higher that your AOV is, the more likely that your ads will be profitable. It is just mathematically like sure in that sense. So know that like CAC is not everything. AOV and your conversion value overall is a big piece of that. Be intentional, build a plan around this, take it seriously. How can you improve your AOV? Where are you at today? Where can you get to within 3 months, within 6 months, within 1 year? Test, learn, iterate on that. Take cues from your customers. Your customers ultimately are king. You need to understand how they're purchasing, how you can make their experience easier, better, more valuable. Consider your recommendations as you're providing them through this journey, as if you're expecting your best friend to go on site and experience it. You can also, keep in mind too, like the different experiences, desktop, mobile, et cetera, and how you might create a really fun shopping experience and get your whole team involved. AOV is one of those core business metrics that you can involve your dev team and your product team and your CX team and everybody on the team to be able to come in and be a thought partner with you in different ways that you can offer more to your customers, offer in a different way, makes sense for them. So involve everybody. Ultimately, marketers are going to be the ones that are going to put this in motion, but to pull off a lot of these experiments, you're going to need the whole team's buy-in. So get them bought in from the very beginning by hosting some fun brainstorming sessions about that. But before you go, I want to just briefly talk about Right Side Up. I'm on the strategy team here at Right Side Up. And so I work really closely along with my colleagues with tons of different businesses who are coming to us to look for solutions to help them grow their businesses. There's all sorts of different reasons why companies come to us, and we've grown almost exclusively on word of mouth, and that means so much to us. We really maintain a stance of quality in the marketplace. So, if you have questions, you can set up 30 minutes with me or my colleagues. We're happy to chat with you about anything that's going on in your business from a growth marketing capacity, and we'll help you any way we can. If there's a really good fit and you need some additional support for your business, we're happy to talk through. We can tap into our marketing collective, all sorts of different types of growth marketers across virtually any type of area that we can pull in and staff on your business on an hourly basis and roll up or roll down those resources however you need. We're here to be flexible. We're here to be a sounding board. We're here to help you any way we can. We've worked with a ton of companies in the D2C e-com space, as well as others, B2B and B2C. So if you think that you've heard anything here that is really helpful for you, be sure to share it with your friends as well. Ultimately, I'm here to help you. So if you got some ideas from today's presentation, I hope it was helpful. You can definitely shoot me a note. My email is on the screen, and my LinkedIn is here as well. So connect with me, shoot me an email. We're going to open up the rest of the time here for questions, but if something else pops up, don't be afraid. Don't be a stranger. We can definitely just hop on a call and chat through whatever's on your mind. Thank you so much.
Lisa, that was amazing. And I'm sure everyone is giving you just the biggest virtual round of applause. Thank you so much for leading that presentation. Everyone, we have about 20 minutes left in our session for questions, and we did have a few come through in the Q&A functionality. And as we're going through here, please feel free to continue dropping those in. But Lisa, one of our first questions comes from Suzanne, and she says, hello, I'm a D2C brand and have yet to implement a subscription strategy. What are your thoughts about keeping customers engaged and repeating through an app-like repeat versus a straight subscription?
Really good question. It depends on the type of business that you have. So if, for instance, you're operating on a behavioral insight, for instance, I'll use an example of Ebby because it's top of mind for me. Women buy underwear in bunches 4 to 5 times a year. So originally they built the business as a subscription business because they inherently wanted to make it easier for her to say, I already know your style, and I already know your size. Here, it's time to re-up and replace that underwear. If you're a skincare brand, or you're a brand that just automatically has like a replenishment kind of feel to the brand, then having a subscription can make more sense to automate that experience. Because let's say that people run through your skincare product every 31 days, then it makes sense to put them in a subscription every 30 days to replenish that product. Where like repeat or smart replenishment type of offering comes in is maybe if you have a product that could be put on repeat, but you want to be able to provide a little bit more customization in what you're offering, then you can do some of that through an app in that nature. Ultimately, subscriptions, I think, it's a type of business that has been around for a long time. It's kind of had its heyday, though in some cases can still be very, very relevant and useful. I would say, are you choosing to be a subscription business because it helps you be more valuable for the customer, or helps you be more valuable to investors? And really, my advice there is, like, if it makes sense and people feel like it's a value add and you save them time, or you save them time and money, then subscription makes sense, but in other cases may not be. But I'm happy to chat more with you specifically, Suzanne, if you want to set up some time.
Thank you, Lisa. Another question, if I'm looking to build up my AOV, what type of marketing talent should I be looking at to help me?
So I think for AOV, you want to really talk to your head of growth first, or your director of performance. Hopefully, if they have experience within the e-commerce space, they should be pretty well versed with the types of metrics that really matter in e-commerce, which are conversion rate, AOV, repeat purchase rate. And so they should be able to help you ideate around the things that we talked about today. You can also consider CRO folks. A lot of them also are really close to the business and the types of strategies that we spoke about.
How do you think about audience segmentation and average order value?
Really good question. So it depends on which lens that you're applying here, but I think when you're looking at, let's say, Klaviyo as an email service tool, you can segment your audiences based on how much money that they're spending on average. You can segment based on lifetime value or predictive lifetime value. All of those can be really, really helpful in trying to isolate where your most valuable customers are within your database, and be able to use them to help inform how you might apply different ideation around AOV for the rest of the customer base, whether it's new or existing. I always like to consider those my VIPs and take cues from them all day long. When it comes to, kind of segmenting out, like how to apply all of these, it really just depends on the application.
Thank you, Lisa. For someone who's looking to start leaning into this metric, what are some of the most common challenges that you've seen throughout your experience when it comes to trying to grow?
Yeah, really good question. So one really important thing to note is that as you increase your pricing, right, or increase the order value, there may be a correlation to a decrease in conversion rate. So essentially, like, more people are coming to site, the higher your conversion rate is, the more people are purchasing, right? That's conversion rate. When you look at AOV, if the pricing on your site is higher and they're paying more for that purchase, that time to consider that sale may be longer. So you may have less people purchasing, which then would decrease that conversion rate. So you want to pay attention to the benefits, the pros and cons of how much increase in AOV is realistic and makes sense for you to drive more revenue without decreasing the conversion rate too much, so that it's going to negatively impact your overall sales volume. And so there is like an inverse relationship with those two metrics. And so that's really important to pay attention to.
Awesome. Lisa, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you so much to everyone who was able to join us. Those are all the questions that we received during the session. But again, like Lisa said, our inbox is always open. So if you have any questions about anything that we talked about today, or you have any growth marketing solution that you could use help strategizing, please feel free to reach out to us. You'll get our contact information in the follow-up email, and you're also welcome to reach out to us on LinkedIn at any time. But for now, I think that is going to be the end of our webinar. And again, Lisa, thank you so much. I know that I really enjoyed this and learned a lot, and I'm sure that everyone else did too.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks.